Hey, it's Mike. I'm back and doing another one of these tags. I haven't really purchased a lot of vinyl in the past few weeks, so instead of doing a vinyl finds, I'm gonna do a tag. This is one that I passed up early on this year, and I thought I'd come circle back and contribute. This is the '80s music tag that was put out by Stephen Schnee, who's the CD junkie. I'll put a link to his site below. Go check it out. Go check out this tag. And first, I want to show a couple of records because I do have a couple of records that came in the past week, or one that I bought at my local store, and then one that came in the mail. But then I'll get into the '80s music tag. The tag is like 10 questions plus a bonus question, so it's not like won't take extra long like the other vinyl tags have been. But anyway, first off, I want to show a couple of records that came in. This is Laetitia Sadier. She's the singer for Stereolab, my favorite band. She has a new album that just came out, and this is it. What is it called? God, my site is so bad. Rooting for Love. And so this album just came out on Friday and came in the mail for me on Friday, which usually never happens. Usually when I order something that comes out, it usually comes out weeks later than when it was released, and everybody on Facebook is already showing their copy, and I'm just sitting around waiting. But it actually came on time. This is her, I believe, fourth studio album under her name. She's done several other types of projects working with other musicians, and they're under different names. But this is her fourth album. She's touring in support of this album, and I'm going to see her in early April. Really excited. I haven't listened to it yet, though. I've only heard a couple of songs, and they're really good. But I haven't listened to the whole album yet, so I'll reserve any further comments on that. But it's really nice photograph on the front, very interesting. The song listing is on the back there. Nice printed inner sleeve with some photographs of her and the musicians she worked with, and then the lyrics on the back side. So really nice. And then the labels there. This is Drag City. This is the US press of this album. It was also released on Duophonic, which is the UK version, and Duophonic is the Stereolab label. So anyway, I got that. And then when I was at my local record store, I was digging through the used bins, and I found this, and it was dirt cheap, so I'm like, I can't pass it up. Adam and the Ants, Prince Charming. I already have a copy of this that I bought used not too long ago. But this was a gatefold, and I'd never seen this album as a gatefold before, so that's the photo on the inside. And then the back, the other version that I have is just a simple single sleeve, no gatefold. It's on CBS Records. And let's see, I didn't pull out the inner sleeve. Looks like so. Really nice condition, very cheap, has kind of a musty used record smell, but not mold, thank goodness. So anyway, so I picked up that. I'm going to go see him in concert, I believe in May. He's playing at the Celebrity Theater. It'll be the second time I've seen him in the past few years. Really excited to see him again because the last time I saw him was fantastic. So anyway, those are my two finds, and then I'll get on to the vinyl, or the '80s music tag. It's not a vinyl tag because you can show CDs, or, I mean, Stephen Schnee is a big CD guy, so he left it, really for if you want to show vinyl or CDs or both, or cassettes or whatever. So the first question, there's 11 questions total, 10 plus a bonus. What's your favorite genre of the '80s? Music genre? And I would say new wave is. When Rob Walker did his vinyl tag, I did that one, and he asked the question, what's your favorite decade of music? And I picked the '80s. I was born in the late '60s, and I was a teenager throughout the '80s. My formative music discovery years were in the '80s. So that's when I came into becoming such a music fan and music collector, was during the '80s. So and new wave was just so pervasive. It was just everywhere and really popular. I wasn't really into the hair band music. I wasn't into like 80s pop music for the most part, but really dug new wave, and I was also listening to a lot of hardcore punk back then. So that would be another genre that I would choose, but I'm gonna go with new wave for this one. So this whole tag, 80s music tag for me, is going to be all new wave from beginning to end. It's not going to have other genres. So that's the first question. The second question, show an album or artist that got you into the 80s genre. So it's hard for me to remember back into like 1980, 81, like what. I know I was like a Rush fan at the time, 1981 when Moving Pictures came out. I was a huge Rush fan, but then soon after that, like within the next year or two, I was exposed to these two bands. I think were my earliest exposure to like new wave type music. The first one I remember, I went over to a friend's house and I brought records with me and he had records and we listened to music. The records I bought, I think I just brought one record and it was Van Halen 2. I was heavily into that at the time. And he played this and it was Adam and the Ants, Kings of the Wild Frontier. I had never heard anything like it. I hadn't heard it. I'm not even sure. It was early enough to where I don't even know if, I don't think I would have seen it on MTV because I just don't remember hearing it or seeing anything like this. And I was just mesmerized by this music and love this album. So I remember that being like one of the really early new wave kind of bands that I heard. And then also another one was Missing Persons Spring Session M. And I remember seeing the videos on MTV early on, the videos for Words and Destination Unknown. And I was just struck by how just fantastic they were, their music and the musicianship. And I just thought it was just sounded like futuristic music and I was just really captivated by it. And then their next album, Rhyme and Reason, I went and saw them in concert for this album, and that was my very first new wave concert that I had ever been to. I had been to a rock concert before that. I went to the Scorpions, but this was my first new wave concert, and I believe this is like 1983. This album came out, or 84, 83, I think. Anyway, Missing Persons and Adam and the Ants were my first foray into new wave music. From what I remember, that's how I remember it anyway. Favorite year in music. So out of the 80s, my favorite year, I wasn't really sure because there's a lot of them that had a lot of great music. But what I did was I took this piece of paper and I blocked it off into 10 blocks. And in each box was a different year of the decade. And I wrote down like my favorite or the best albums of those years. And I figured whichever one had the most of those albums would be the best year for me. And it turns out to be 1982. I thought it would be 84 or 86, but it was actually 1982. And I'll show you the albums that I put down for that came out in 1982. XTC's English Settlement, fantastic. I remember Senses Working Overtime, seeing that video on MTV. It just was awesome. That was my first exposure to XTC. Next one, The Fix, Shuttered Room. They played the hell out of these videos on MTV. Red Skies at Night and Stand or Fall. It's not my favorite Fix album, but I definitely got into them a lot. So that was 1982. This one huge as well. Berlin, the Metro, and the Sex, I'm a trying to tell me why was a huge one. Really fantastic songs, really great synth pop from their debut album, Pleasure Victim. I believe that's their debut album. Another one, 1982, Kim Wilde's self-titled debut album, Kids in America, Checkered Love. Love this. Another one, this compilation of Bow Wow Wow singles and whatnot. I Want Candy. This came out in 1982. Just played the hell out of this. Had it on cassette and just played it all the time. Let's see. After the Snow, Modern English. They just came out with a new album recently. Haven't heard it yet, but I love this album. Love the hell out of it. It's great front and back. This is a fantastic new wave album. Tears for Fears, The Hurting, 1982. Fantastic album. Change was huge. Mad World, Pale Shelter. Just awesome, awesome stuff. My first Depeche Mode album was 1982. I didn't get this album in 1982, but it was my first Depeche Mode album before. I think I got it around the same time that Some Great Reward came out. But anyway, I love this album. Doesn't get enough love. It's very underrated, but really good stuff. 1982. Almost done here. There was a lot of them. Adam and the Ants, Friend or Foe. Or Adam Ant, not Adam and the Ants. Goody Two Shoes, Desperate But Not Serious, and The Friend or Foe, those three. A Place in the Country is a song, kind of an underrated, deeper cut off of this, and it's fantastic. I love that album. And then the last two, I gotta start reaching back for these. Simple Minds, New Gold Dream, love this album. Promise You a Miracle, Someone Somewhere in Summertime, Glittering Prize. I can't think of all of the songs on here off of my memory, but it's a great album. Yeah. Colors Fly and Catherine Wheel, something like that, yeah. And then this one, the last one, Duran Duran's Rio, just chock full of hits. Really excellent album. Sophomore album of Duran Duran, 1982. So yeah, that was my favorite year, apparently. What format did you collect most in the 80s? Well, vinyl. I would get cassettes every once in a while. Obviously, there were no CDs until late 80s for me. But vinyl, I was just pretty much getting everything in vinyl at the time. Next one, number 5. Who were your favorite artists of the 80s, the ones that you collected? Well, I'll show a few. Got like the B-52s. I was huge into the B-52s back then. I think the first one came out in 79, but the rest of them came out in the 80s. Whammy's my favorite B-52s album. But really into the B-52s. So I saw them live. They played on campus at the University of Florida when I was a college student. They played on campus at an outdoor band shell kind of situation. And it was free, so I got to see them back then. Pretty cool. Let's see, who else? Like I said before, Duran Duran. I was really big into them, especially their first 2 albums were excellent. New Order, this one, and Power, Corruption, and Lies, and Brotherhood. Those 3 in a row were just absolutely amazing. I was big into the Police. They were also one of the earliest bands that I remember listening to in the 80s. Love the Police. And I'm not going to show every single album by every single band, but just sometimes I don't get to show these, so I'm showing them now. So I love the Police. Not a huge fan of Synchronicity, but the first 4 albums were just awesome. The Fix. I love the Fix. Reach the Beach, my favorite Fix album. Phantoms, very underrated, excellent album. And then this one too, Walkabout, really, really great album, underrated as well. And I saw them on campus when I was in college. They opened for the Moody Blues at the O'Connell Center, which is where our basketball team played. It's a big kind of indoor arena, whatever, and saw the Fix there for this tour. So they were great. I did not stick around for the Moody Blues. I think I need to keep going. Yeah. So Adam Ants, I've already talked about that. This is that first on Epic. This is the first copy of this album I got, and now I have it on that other version on CBS. Bow Wow Wow, love Bow Wow Wow a lot. I think even better than Adam and the Ants. I'm just a huge fan of theirs, and this is When the Going Gets Tough, the Tough Get Going. Fantastic album. Love Bow Wow Wow. Kate Bush. I was kind of a late comer to Kate Bush. I didn't really get into her music until after Hounds of Love came out. But once I got into that album, I went back and bought all of her earlier stuff and was quite obsessed with her music, especially her first 5 albums. Kate Bush. And of course, Depeche Mode, Black Celebration, my second favorite album of theirs. Huge into Depeche Mode, if I haven't already made that clear on my channel. XTC, yeah, I didn't get into, I had English Settlement and I was into that, but I didn't really get heavily into them until Skylarking. And, but I show Skylarking all the time, so I'm going to show Oranges and Lemons today. So, love this album as well. These represses sound freaking amazing on Ape House Records. Oh wait, yeah, I'm gonna bleed into the next song, or the next question. The next question, number 6, underrated, an album that you encourage people to check out. A lot of people have been showing this too in this tag. Icicle Works, self-titled, their first album, so underrated. The song everybody knows is Whisper to a Scream, Birds Fly, but the whole album from front to back, every single song is absolutely awesome on this. I absolutely love it. And if you like a lot of drums, kind of like a Adam and the Ants, you like just a lot of drums, this album is for you. They kind of mellowed out from got kind of away from that in their later records. But this album is just heavy drums. Love it. Icicle Works. Another album that I don't see a lot of people talk about, the Dream Academy, their debut album. Really good. A lot of great songs. It's not just Life in a Northern Town. There's The Edge of Forever and I forget the other one, Places on the Run. Some of these songs appeared in the Ferris Bueller's Day Off movie, as well as their cover of The Smiths, Please Let Me Get What I Want. Dream Academy, fantastic. They've got a box set coming out really soon. I think next month. I gotta stop saying sorry about that. They've got like a CD box set, and it's like 8 CDs or something. It's got everything that they've ever done, so that's pretty cool. Dream Academy, underrated. And then the last one, I try to shoehorn them in as much as possible. Another band that's not a one-hit wonder. This whole album is fantastic. Side A is all English lyrics, and side B is all in German. Different songs, except they do an English and a German version of the 99 Red Balloons. Fantastic album. Love it. Very underrated. Check it out. Next one, let's see. Number 7, liked or loved in the 80s, but you appreciate them more now. This is a band I didn't really know about much in the 80s, but I definitely have a deep appreciation for Japan. I love this album, Tin Drum. It's got Art of Parties, which is my favorite song of theirs. Japan, fantastic. Very, just an amazing band. And they put out 3 albums in a row that are just awesome. Gentlemen Take Polaroids, this one, and Quiet Life. Those 3 albums, highly recommended. And also another band that I did not appreciate as much then as I do now is the Smiths. I had this album back in high school. I think Meat is Murder I had on cassette. Later on, I started collecting all their albums and listening to them a lot more, and I love them. Really great stuff. So yeah, so that's that question. Number 8, popular in the 80s, but still making great music. I don't have like the new Depeche Mode to show because I'm not really a huge fan of it, but a lot of people are a huge fan of that one. So I would say Depeche Mode is still putting out good stuff. Duran Duran is putting out good stuff. But their last couple albums weren't great. But the one before that, and I don't have it sitting out or whatever, but that's really not the band I wanted to talk about anyway. What I wanted to talk about was a band that was kind of a one-hit wonder back in the 80s was Till Tuesday with their song Voices Carry. And Amy Mann, the singer from Till Tuesday, she puts out such amazing albums every time. She's so consistent. I don't have any of her new stuff on vinyl, but this is her, I believe it's her 3rd studio album, Bachelor No. 2. And it's so good. And this particular special edition version, whatever, has songs from the movie Magnolia 2, which is some of her best work. So I would say Amy Mann from Till Tuesday. She's still doing amazing stuff. Still putting out great records. Also, a band that I didn't appreciate back in the '80s as much, but I do appreciate them a lot more now is Echo and the Bunnymen. You know, I liked a few songs back in the '80s, but now I like to listen to their whole album, all the deep cuts as well. It's just really great stuff. Echo and the Bunnymen. Next question. Let's see, number 9, album from the '80s reissued in 2023. That would be The Cult's Love. Couldn't wait for this one to be re-released because either the albums that I was finding on Discogs were in really crappy condition or they were just really too high priced. So finally having affordable. This is on Beggar's Banquet, reissued last year. So glad to have this. Sounds great. Next one, 80s album that got you into a different genre. Well, when I started listening to these two records back in the mid-'80s, and it's Killing Joke's Nighttime and Bauhaus's Burning from the Inside, it really got me into listening to like what they call like dark wave kind of music, and also like post-punk, goth kind of stuff too. So those were different genres of the '80s that I wasn't into until I started listening to like music like this, like Killing Joke and Bauhaus. And then once I did, I started, listening to stuff like Susie and the Banshees, which I would consider kind of a dark wave, post-punk kind of band, not new wave. And The Cure, fantastic. And also bands like Tones on Tail, which is a couple members of Bauhaus. That is a little side project of Daniel Ash and Kevin Haskins. Different genre. And then the last one, essential album from the '80s. And that's really hard because there's so many of them. But I had to pick one. So the one I picked was New Order's Power, Corruption, and Lies. I feel like this has got so many different sounds in it. It doesn't sound all samey. Some of it's like synth, very synth heavy. Other songs are just very kind of guitar, alternative, kind of indie rock kind of music. Still has their foot kind of in the door of Joy Division, but then their foot in the door of like their future sound, which is more synthy and kind of dancey and all that kind of stuff. So it's got a little bit of everything. I just think it's an amazing album, just a near perfect album of theirs. And if I wanted to tell somebody to listen to 80s music, and this is to me what 80s new wave sounds like, I think that they would get a pretty decent idea overall of, or at least a really good head start into what the new wave sound is like. So yeah, New Order, Power, Corruption, and Lies. And that's it. That's all my questions. I hope this wasn't boring. I love talking about music, and I love talking about 80s music, and I love talking about new wave. So that was fun, and I hope you all having a great weekend, and I will be doing another video probably really soon. And check out my flip videos too, and like those and comment if you like, but I'm going to keep doing those as well. And I really appreciate your support. Love you all, and I'll see you all later. Bye.